Once upon a time, there was a village named Dali. In that village, there lived a man named Jack, who was very innocent and pure. He never sinned or hurt anybody. All he did was help people and engage in charitable works for the poor and needy. His son Daniel was also a good person who followed in his father's footsteps. Daniel had 2 children and was just like his father, always helping the less fortunate and involved in charitable works. One day, a deadly disease swept through the entire village, claiming many lives. Daniel's wife and daughter fell victim to the disease, and Daniel himself became seriously ill, losing a significant amount of weight. Realizing that he needed to provide for his son and father, Daniel decided to work as a laborer to earn money for his family. Jack, looking at his frail son, expressed concern. "My son, you look very weak. How will you be able to work as a laborer in this condition? Let me go and beg for some rice to feed us all." However, Daniel was determined. "Father, you need not beg. As long as I'm here, we won't starve. They have just started hiring people to work in the fields. I'll go there and get the job myself." Despite his father's worries, Daniel headed to the fields to work. Unfortunately, due to his weakened state, none of the people there considered hiring him. He couldn't even handle the necessary equipment. He wandered around the fields until evening, realizing that he was too weak to work effectively. He returned to the village and resorted to begging for rice from each and every household. After gathering some rice, he returned home. Upon seeing his son, Jack said, "Didn't I tell you that no one would hire you in this condition? Tomorrow we will both go and beg for food." Daniel remained resolute, replying, "Father, please don't think so negatively. Today we have what I brought. Tomorrow I'll bring even better food for you all. Trust me." Jack was skeptical. "Are you crazy, my son? We barely have enough to survive. Where will you find good food for us?" During Daniel's illness, Jack had resorted to begging for food in the streets, an act Daniel did not appreciate. Daniel had only wanted to work again once he regained his strength. Feeling helpless, Daniel began considering illegal activities to make money, despite his lifelong commitment to honesty. Meanwhile, Jack, worried about his son's intentions, couldn't sleep that night. He decided to secretly watch his son. In the middle of the night, Jack left the house and saw his son Daniel butchering a goat. His heart sank, realizing his son's desperation. He thought, "Oh God, my son, who has never done anything wrong in his life, is now resorting to such a heinous act. Why, God, have you put me in this situation where I don't even know whether I should condemn my son for what he is doing, knowing he is only trying to feed his child and me?" Jack returned home, unable to sleep, consumed by thoughts of his son's actions. He didn't realize that Daniel's actions were solely to prevent starvation. The next morning, Jack looked at his son and suggested, "Daniel, come, my son. Let us both go and beg for some food as early as possible. It will be helpful for us. We don't need to beg further." Daniel responded confidently, "Didn't I tell you yesterday that today we would have good food? Today we shall have some meat. Where was this meat yesterday when we were starving?" Jack questioned, "How did you suddenly acquire this meat?" Daniel assured his father, "I will bring more food for us tomorrow. Trust me." Jack couldn't contain his anger and scolded his son. "Do not try to fool me, you idiot. You took the goat from our neighbor's house and butchered it last night. Yesterday you slept with me and woke up late. From where did you get this meat? I saw the whole thing with my own eyes." Daniel burst into tears, admitting, "I'm sorry, Father. I should have never stolen that goat from our neighbor's house. If you feel guilty about this, we don't need to eat that meat. Let's go and beg for food in the village." Jack felt heartbroken by his son's confession, but knew that it was out of desperation. Still, he suspected that Daniel might resort to wrongdoings to feed their family in the future. That night, unable to sleep, Jack woke up and found that his son wasn't home. Worried, he waited for an hour and then heard a sound outside. He cautiously went outside and saw Daniel chopping and butchering a goat. Jack thought to himself, "Oh God, my son, who has never done anything wrong in his life, is now doing something so heinous." Jack couldn't sleep, haunted by thoughts of his son's actions. He didn't realize that Daniel had stolen the goat to prevent starvation. The next morning, Jack suggested they go begging for food, but Daniel insisted they would eat the meat he had brought. He assured his father that he would find work once he regained his strength. Jack was not convinced, and the argument escalated, with Daniel declaring he wouldn't beg, and Jack urging him to promise not to resort to illegal activities for food. Jack finally lost his temper and accused Daniel of being the thief. Daniel cried, admitting his guilt. Ravi, the owner of the stolen goat, sought justice and demanded severe punishment for Daniel. The case went to court, where the judge, feeling empathy for Daniel's desperate situation, sought more evidence to prove his guilt. Ravi's lack of evidence led to the judge's decision to release Daniel, citing insufficient proof. The judge also ordered monthly provisions for Daniel's family to ensure they didn't go hungry. Daniel, his father, and their family lived happily from then on, never starving again. Daniel found work with the help of the judge, and their lives improved. This story serves as a reminder of the importance of compassion and understanding in the pursuit of justice, as well as the power of second chances. If you enjoyed this story, please like and share it. For more news stories, please stay tuned.